And now we'll get into chapter 4. So I'm doing this in the same days as I've done chapter 2 and 3, and I might do even more chapters today. I don't want to rush through, but there is a lot of Bible to get through, so I do want to try to, pace it a little better. And I figure if there's something we need to revisit, we can always go back and revisit it. I could make a one-off video. I can do whatever the fuck I want on my YouTube channel. But for now, for this video, we're just going to go into chapter 4 of Genesis. The man knew Eve, his wife. Oh, we have a footnote already. Or lay with, or had relations with. So yes, they were super married, super banging. She conceived and gave birth to Cain. Oh wait, another footnote. Or became pregnant. Yeah, I knew what that one meant, but thanks. Gave birth to Cain and said, I have gotten a man with Yahweh's help. Oh, I just don't like that quote on its own. You were made for the man. Like, what do you mean with his help? It's funny because I just read a YouTube comment and replied to it about how the first book of Genesis was tacked on, I think, or the first chapter. But I'm not actually sure. I haven't done research on that yet. That wouldn't surprise me if the first chapter was an addition, because like this implies that God was more like Will Smith in Hitch, that he was like helping her hook up, as opposed to you were created for this purpose. They give very different messages, and neither of them are good. I believe women and men evolved like humans, whatever we were, evolved sex at a certain point to just either simplify or, something. There was some advantage to the way that genetic information was shared and shared between a man and a woman to make a child of either sex. My point is that men and women should be treated relatively equally. Like, we're all people. We're all here. We can all hurt. We all have access to the same resources. And we can all know things, and we all have our own perspectives, and I think it's worth considering everybody. Like, the truth can come from anywhere, but if we're only treating certain people as always being better and certain people as always being worse, you start treating the untrue things that the people you like say as true, and you start treating truthful things that people you don't like say as untrue. And truth shouldn't be based on how much you like somebody. It shouldn't be based on class or who's above who or anything like that. We're all people. We can all make mistakes, but we can all see things too. All right, but anyway, Eve has had a baby. Hooray, I guess. I mean, it would have hurt a whole lot based on what God said. But that's okay. I'm sure she and Adam are pretty stoked either way. So much so that again she gave birth to Cain's brother Abel. Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. As time passed, Cain brought an offering to Yahweh from the fruit of the ground. Abel also brought some of the firstborn of his flock and of its fat. Yahweh respected Abel and his offering, but he didn't respect Cain and his offering. Cain was very angry, and the expression on his face fell. Yahweh said to Cain, "Why are you angry? Why has the expression of your face fallen? If you do well, won't it be lifted up? If you don't do well, sin crouches at the door. Its desire is for you, but you are to rule over it." Cain said to Abel, his brother, "Let's go into the field." While they were in the field, Cain rose up against Abel, his brother, and killed him. Yahweh said to Cain, "Where is Abel, your brother?" He said, "I don't know. Am I my brother's keeper?" Yahweh said, "What have you done? The voice of your brother's blood cries to me from the ground. Now you are cursed because of the ground, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. From now on, when you till the ground, it won't yield its strength to you. You will be a fugitive and a wanderer in the earth." Cain said to Yahweh, "My punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, you have driven me out today from the surface of the ground. I will be hidden from your face, and I will be a fugitive and a wanderer in the earth. Whoever finds me will kill me." Yahweh said to him, "Therefore, whoever slays Cain, vengeance will be taken on him sevenfold." Yahweh appointed a sign for Cain so that anyone finding him would not strike him. Okay, I should probably review some of this before I try to finish this chapter because my mind is reeling. So Cain and Abel both bring offerings. Cain is from the fruit of the ground. Abel is firstborn of flock and fat, which Yahweh likes. The Yahweh prefers the animal sacrifice to fruit. That's kind of fucked up. Why? Why does he want us to kill the things that he made for us to share the world with? Because it's all serving God. God is selfish. He made us to serve him, and when we didn't serve him in the convoluted way that he made us to serve him in, even though we were functioning the way that he created us, he punished us and made us suffer. So he made us to suffer, and by suffering we serve him. Yeah, that is abuse. That's super abusive. It's insane. No one should believe this. No one should worship this thing. Like, this is what my parents believe. This is a God they love and they insist is the one true God. They raised us to worship this thing, to follow it, to follow its teachings. It was supposed to be like a perfect role model, and it's a scary, dangerous, abusive thing that I really hope we can get out of the collective consciousness. But then God was also saying, like, if you do well, won't it be lifted up? And if you don't do well, sin crouches at the door. So it kind of seems like he's implying, well, your fruit wasn't good. You should have given me a better sacrifice. But, like, what was Cain supposed to do? Is he supposed to bring more fruit? Was he supposed to have a different profession? Is Moses implying that farming is bad and, ranching is good? And it's almost like God is teasing him because he's like, yeah, I don't respect your offering. And he's like, oh. And he's like, what are you mad? What are you mad, bro? You bring shitty offering, get shit on. What are you mad? If only you were as cool as your brother. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, I'm going to look the other way now. Hope you don't do any murders. Oh my, me. I can hear his blood screaming. I do like that as a metaphor. The voice of your brother's blood cries to me from the ground. Like, that, you can feel that. And that's, I think that's why people latch on to these writings, is because there are moments where it really grips you. But then they let that pull them in. They make their leap of faith based on those feelings. And they end up believing some really harmful and damaging things. The cool things come at a very great cost. From now on, when you till the ground, it won't yield its strength to you. So I guess Cain just has to wander forever. And no more fruits for you, fruit boy. I rejected your fruit and you killed someone over it, and you don't get no more fruits. Like, God, I don't know. Definitely Cain shouldn't have done a murder, but you made him that way and you provoked him to do it. And you're always, like, not around when the bad shit's going down. You're always just, like, somewhere else, I guess, not looking until the mistake has happened, and then you come in to punish instead of being like, oh, sorry, I should have been here as your, like, God, creator, overseer. But I'm not. I'm going to give you free will, which I'm going to pretend is nice, and then I'm going to leave. And if you guys do anything bad, there will be hell to pay. Okay, God, I guess that's love. Time to have 1 million kids. I want to go back through verses 1 through 15 in the King James Version just to see if there's any differences and just to go over everything again. And Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. And she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in process of time it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. And Abel he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering. But unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. And the Lord said unto Cain, Why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen? If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door, and unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. And Cain, seemingly ignoring this, and Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother, and slew him. And the Lord said unto Cain, Where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? And he said, What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. And now thou art cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. And Cain said unto the Lord, My punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid. And I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth, and it shall come to pass that every one that findeth me shall slay me. And the Lord said unto him, Therefore, whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. And Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. That's where we're going next. As far as why firstborns are important, I can understand it in terms of livestock, because I mean, they are being bred to be like eaten. And so like you don't necessarily know, I guess, how many babies there are going to be, or whether there will be more after the firstborn. So giving away your firstborn specifically is more weightful than the other children. I think only as, yeah, I was going to say only as it's happening. Like if you are having your firstborn and it's to be given away, like that is a sacrifice, I guess. But like, what if your firstborn's like 15 and then you have another kid? Are you still supposed to sacrifice the 15-year-old because he's had a whole life and that's more tragic, or is it more tragic to sacrifice the baby? Which one gets got off? I don't know. Firstborn, I guess. But really, it's ideal if the firstborn is also a baby. That really pushes all the buttons, I think. I don't know. I'm just making my best guesses based on the text. And it is kind of interesting that God puts a mark on Cain to protect him. I guess it's a little bit of mercy, as Cain is saying, this is too much, God, what the fuck? He's like, oh, fine, you'll wander forever alone, but at least no one else will kill you. Or if they do, they'll be 7 times killed that, so they probably won't. Thanks, God, I'll be on my way, I guess. Not like I'm getting more than that. Cain should not have killed his brother, right? Because I'm kind of with Cain on the sense that, like, well, I brought you an offering of like my hard work. Like, this is the fruit of my labor, is literal fruit. I'm sorry he's got little, virgin firstborn baby animals for you, God, but here's my virgin firstborn baby fruit. But you don't like it as much. I am sorry. Are you on a diet? Do you request meat specifically? Has that been made clear to us? Hey, I guess you're making it clear to me now, except you're just kind of taunting me for making the offering instead of telling me why it's bad and what I should do instead. So I guess I'll just lash out at the people closest to me, because the guy who's supposed to be in charge here isn't helping me at all. But no, I think Cain gave in to jealousy, basically. It was like, well, your animals are accepted and my fruit's not. That's not fair, which I agree with. I'm going to kill you, which I think was too far. Like, they should have had a conversation like, hey, Abel, why do you like your animals so much, but you didn't like my fruit? And Abel would have been, I don't fucking know, dude, he's God. Like, your guess is as good as mine. You want to try an animal next time? Or he would have been like, well, God told me he likes animals, or like, wherever Abel got his information. However he knew how to please God, he could have shared with Cain. And that would have been the better thing for Cain to do. Everything that follows, like punishment, is incredibly arbitrary, so it's just whatever God feels like doing to him, and whatever God mercy feels like doing to him, whatever. It all comes out to something, and that something is weird. So Cain left Yahweh's presence and lived in the land of Nod, east of Eden. Cain knew his wife. She conceived and gave birth to Enoch. He built a city and named the city after the name of his son, Enoch. Irad was born to Enoch. Irad became the father of Mehual. I'm so sorry. Mehuiel? Mehuiel. I'm so sorry. Mehuiel became the father of Methusael. Oh, Methusael. Yes, so Methuel, probably. I know Methusael. But now it doesn't sound like I'm saying it right. Methusael. Methuselah? He lived to be 300 or some shit, supposedly, right? Is that the guy I'm thinking of? Let's keep going. Methuselah became the father of Lamech. Lamech took two wives. The name of the first one was Ada, and the name of the second one was Zillah. Ada gave birth to Jabal, who was the father of those who dwell in tents and have livestock. His brother's name was Jubal, who is the father of all who handle the harp and pipe. I'm sorry, we veered right into fairy tale territory here. This is Jabal of the tents and animals. This is Jubal of the instruments. Okay. Zillah also gave birth to Tubal Cain. I'm sorry, just my first question is, you want to know why they call me Tubal? It's not that impressive, Cain. We've all got, it's fine. Just let him have it. Zillah also gave, okay, let me clear the giggles out. I'm sorry. Okay, so we're getting into some funny names here that I personally don't recognize. Moses is implying that, these are direct descendants of Adam and Eve. And so I'm wondering, is there a certain point when we cross from the mythological Adam and Eve people to actual traceable historical figures? I don't know. I haven't done that kind of research. I'm curious about it, but I'm not gonna dive into that rabbit hole just yet. It does sound to me very fantasy, like this person, they were prospering at this point, so here's all the kids that they had while they were happy, and here's all the things that their kids got up to. But I mean, that is a representation of human history. Humans were having kids, and the kids were into different things. I don't think it was quite as cut as dry as, this one's tents and livestock, this one is harp and pipe. That's where it gets a little silly, but if we interpret that more generously, yeah, sure, that's human stuff. Humans were doing human stuff, having human babies. Zillah gave birth to Tubal Cain, the forger of every cutting instrument of bronze and iron. Every cutting instrument of bronze and iron. Wow, damn, Tubal fucking brought us into the Bronze Age. How long ago was this? Tubal Cain's sister was Naamah. Tubal Cain's sister was Naamah. Lamech said to his wives, Ada and Zillah, hear my voice. You wives of Lamech, listen to my speech, for I have slain a man for wounding me, a young man for bruising me. If Cain will be avenged 7 times, truly Lamech 77 times. Why did he say this? Adam knew his wife again. No, why did he say that, though? She gave birth to a son and named him Seth, saying, For God has given me another child instead of Abel, for Cain killed him. A son was also born to Seth, and he named him Enosh. At that time, men began to call on Yahweh's name. Oh, I'm sorry, what the fuck was Lamech? What? So I guess we do a little story branch here. We have Cain going off and having his own family. He had a wife in Nod, east of Eden. Presumably God made other people there. I don't know when. Happened off screen. It's fine. And they just mention these people, and I guess maybe they'll be characters later. I don't know. Ada and Zillah, hear my voice. You wives of Lamech, listen to my speech, for I have slain a man for wounding me. What's he talking about? When did this happen? Maybe we'll get more details later. If Cain will be avenged 7 times, truly Lamech 77 times. And that's just I don't know, typical ego, one-upsmanship. Well, if that guy's going to be avenged, I killed a guy just for damaging me. So if anyone kills me, I'll be avenged even more. And maybe Lamech is being set up here for failure. Maybe we'll see God punish him for, trying to extrapolate God's will onto himself for his own purposes. We'll flip over to King James Version, finish up chapter 4, and then we'll continue on to chapter 5. And I'm curious where this is going. This is where it gets kind of fuzzy in my head. Oh yeah, of course I remember Adam, Eve, Cain, Abel, Garden of Eden. And after that, there's Noah and the flood. Right? There's a lot of gaps in my Christian education. So in the King James Version, And Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Enoch. And he builded a city and called the name of the city after the name of his son Enoch. And I know there's a lot of weird phrasing and things with this translation. I try to just read it as respectfully as I can, at least the first time through, just because I don't think using a word like builded instead of built is where it'd be oh, we built a city. Yeah, it sounds funny to us, but it probably made sense at the time, and we still understand what they were trying to say. Some other word changes do change the meaning, and it's worth considering multiple meanings, I think. And so I guess what happened is Enoch named his son after himself. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Cain. Cain built the city. Okay, that's where I was getting confused. Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bore Enoch. Cain built the city, and he called the name of the city after his son Enoch. So yeah, that's kind of nice, actually. That kind of gives me a vision of, like, a guy wanting to provide for his family and ends up making a whole city just because he was like, well, we gotta have this, and this would be nice, and just bringing all these different things together. And unto Enoch was born Irad, and Irad begat Mehuel, and Mehuel begat Methusael, and Methusael begat Lamech. And Lamech took unto him two wives. The name of the one was Adah, and the name of the other Zillah. And Adah bare Jabal. He was the father of such as dwell in tents, and of such as have cattle. And his brother's name was Jubal. He was the father of all such as handle the harp and organ. And Zillah, she also bare Tubal-Cain, an instructor of every artificer in brass and iron. And the sister of Tubal-Cain was Naamah. And Lamech said unto his wives, Adah and Zillah, Hear my voice, ye wives of Lamech, hearken unto my speech. For I have slain a man to my wounding, and a young man to my hurt. And a young man to my hurt. Is he like bragging that it was a young one? If Cain shall be avenged sevenfold, truly Lamech 70 and sevenfold. And Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son, and called his name Seth. For God, said she, hath appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew. And to Seth, to him also there was born a son, and he called his name Enos. Then began man to call upon the name of the Lord. So it is kind of like, just from a literary perspective, it's kind of cool how it splits. Cain killed Abel and had to leave, but he went off and found his own family. Meanwhile, his old family is making a new family. And like we have these branching lines of, people have just disappointed God in different ways. But it seems like God kind of set them up for failure anyway and isn't doing shit to help them. So, I don't know. And so that brings us to the end of chapter 4. I'm very curious what's going to happen with the descendants of both lines. We've got Enos or Enos. Did they call it a different Enosh? Enosh is what they called him in the WEB. Enos or Enos. Same guy, basically. Same, they had a son. But it's him, and then it's Lamech. Also, yeah, I kind of glanced over this. Lamech took unto him 2 wives. So that's still like all chill back in the day. You can have more than one wife. I guess why not? And I would assume it would apply the other way. You could have more than one husband. At this point, I don't see why you couldn't have gay marriage even. Like, what does it mean to be husband and wife at this stage? I don't know.